I am live. Today we're going to be doing some live, but also we're going to be covering Jupiter transit, especially from April onwards, April 20th onwards, 24th, I believe, when Jupiter enters into the sign of Aries, right? But what I want to do is something simple, is that I want to show what Jupiter will do over other planets. And also, like I covered with Jupiter in the third from itself last week, that ego and the courage of Jupiter, I will cover with planet Venus in my KRS vlogs over this weekend in my academy, Magha Vedic Astrology Academy. So I'll show you what Moon and Venus will do. They're quite similar, but they're not. Like third from Moon or third from Venus from each house. So now, if Jupiter is going over Moon, okay, Jupiter is going over Moon, you will see focus on food related to body happens, meaning suddenly your desire for food increases, but it increases because of your body. Because remember, Jupiter is in Aries, and Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is what? It's known as like Jupiter. Jupiter, Guru, is a Jivakarka, the significator of giving life into something. Mars is known as Diyakarka, the Karka, the significator of body. So Jupiter main concern will be giving prana to things related to the body. With different planets brings in different type of circumstances. So since Moon represents food, one will change their food habits related to their body. Yet appetite becomes big. Jupiter Moon conjunction naturally gives a big appetite. Even if somebody is a complete vegetarian or vegan or non-veg, doesn't matter. It brings a bigger appetite, especially in a fire sign, because the fire is Pitta and it controls this part, the stomach, the fire. Also, there will be movements that will happen. Jupiter, whenever it goes over Moon, travel naturally occurs and happens. But there will also be movement where one can decide to move from one place to another. Mother will travel to foreign places. Mind will explode with ideas. Because what happens? All the ideas comes in within the mind. Here, Jupiter, which is the actual, see, here you can even connect Vastu with transits. Jupiter is the lord of Northeast. Northeast is the ideas, is the churning of ideas. So here, Jupiter suddenly starts giving many ideas related to where the moon is placed. If moon is in the fourth house, suddenly Jupiter will give many ideas, either how to get a loan to attain a property, making certain changes in your home to improve the conditions of the home, focusing on your mother, okay? But also, now, like I said, connect Vastu with the transit and you'll get a greater meaning of it. You will get banking support, loans. If you want access to loans, when Jupiter is going over Moon, you will be able to get loans. It'll bring actually big loans. And this is where you want to be careful. Because see, Jupiter just says, okay, I'm going to give you this big expansion of something. Now it's your consciousness, okay, that says that, okay, this is the limit or this is the limit. Because again, if you're borrowing money, it's debt. So you better be careful of how much debt you're willing to take at one point, because then you'll end up paying for the next 30, 40 years. But what it does do, because remember, Northwest is controlled by Moon. Northwest represent support and banking. So of course you will get a lot of support, whether it's the mother or whether it's people around you, the local people around you. That's what Moon is, the local people. So this banking support comes into play. Over the sun, One attains royal dignity. And I'm not talking about like being a regal royal dignity, is that a person sees improvement of their image in their workplace or image in their home and within their family. Okay. And at the same time, more energy comes into play. One suddenly feels more vitality within them. Also, one will donate towards temples. One will donate towards religious places. Okay. Father will plan a long distance travel. Also, desire for children becomes active. Gain of happiness through government happens. Like you will see, even if you're not in a government and you're in a private sector, what happens? You get more money during your tax return. So you're gaining something from the government. You're trying to get some application approved with the city, right? You have a business and you get your business license related to your store. You're having trouble, but as soon as Jupiter goes over Sun, those things now the Jiva comes alive. So if your application was pending, it's not going to be pending. It's going to be now looked at. That's what this does. And of course, I said children because Sun is the original controller of the fifth house of children. Over Saturn brings in mentors and guidance at work. New work opportunities come in. Travel related to work will happen, especially with conferences. Okay. And issues of insurance, inheritance gets resolved, but may not be in your favor. Now, don't think that because Jupiter is going over Saturn, it's going to come into your favor. Because the other person who you may be dealing with this issue may also have this going over their Jupiter. No, it doesn't mean that it's going to go into your favor. It says it's resolved. So if there was some issue in the family happening related to inheritance, why is my sibling getting this much and I'm only getting this much? And this fight has been going on for 3-4 years. It gets resolved. Like, okay, this is what you will get. This is what this person will get. End of story. Any kind of litigation, court cases, they also get resolved. But again, not in your favor. That all then depends upon if you have the yoga, the conditions of finding the victory within the court cases. So those are the things you have to kind of focus on. And if you will see, just like I made that prediction in 2020 early on about uprising happening, one thing you will see, union. Okay. If you're in part of a union finds victory, but also shows that one will have to do some kind of a protest with their working union, with Jupiter going over Saturn, because you're trying to improve the conditions of work. So usually this brings in a strong area related to conditions, because Saturn represents the working class, the factory workers, not the CEO. That's the sun. Is the actual worker. So now workers can unite. You will see many formations of unions happening, especially in your own personal life, with your own work, depending upon what type of work you will have. Okay, like for example, if it's happening in your third house, for example, if there's Uber and Lyft, right? Suddenly you can see that there could be a union being formed and being approved. Over Mercury, it shows desire for a higher education, suddenly desire for going for your MBA, going for your PhD. You will also perform ancestral rites. Ancestral rites will be performed during this time period. And also, consumed in learning will happen. Complete consumption of learning happens, but one may have a hard time executing it if, of course, your Saturn and your Mars are strong. Then it'll be executed, because here Jupiter and Mercury simply want to learn. Is the teacher and student, father and child are coming together. Okay. And of course, a lot of communication will happen with teachers, bankers, mentors. A lot of paperwork will pile up because remember, Jupiter is expansion, Mercury's administrative duties, and also paperwork. You will see a lot of paperwork will pile up at work that you'll have to take care of. A lot of signatures will be there. Many documents will have to be signed when Jupiter is going over Mercury. You'll have to write something professionally during this time, academically or professionally. Something will be written for some form of approval. Over Mars, brothers and siblings will find success in their career. Suddenly, desire to join a gym, improving one's health happens. Because again, Mars is sign. Mars in Aries naturally will be the significator of the body itself. So naturally, it brings improvement in health. Desire for property takes forefront. Do you get it? We can't say that. The dasha will approve that. Your D4 chart will approve that. But that desire suddenly, that seed is planted now. That, it's time for me to look for property, time for me to get, find a home of my own. So that's what takes place. Sudden surprises are seen. With Jupiter, especially in Aries, this may not happen in Taurus. In Aries, we see sudden surprise happen when it goes over Mars. I'm talking about in a good way because again, Mars is the original controller of the first house, but also eighth house of sudden things. Okay. Like suddenly you can run into a guru as well. And we also see brand new type of technology will emerge in the world overall. Something that we may not have even seen. Over Venus, which is obvious, relationships become active. The desire to have a relationship, somebody in your life becomes active. A lot of people who are like, I don't no longer want a relationship. I don't want to be with anybody. I don't want it. I'm happy single. But yet, for that one particular year, there will be that fire that's going to burn. That, I do want somebody in my life. I do want to have that companionship in my life. And of course, there's also devotional aspect becomes active. Either devotional or addictive aspect, depending upon the condition of Venus in Aries. Either you could devote yourself for some better cause or you could become obsessed about something, kind of like stalking that occurs. Okay. And improvements are done to vehicles during this time, or gain of vehicles happen depending upon where you live and what the circumstances are. Because let's say if you're living on the top of the Himalayas, you don't need a car, you don't use those vehicles. But if you're living in a city where there's no subway, there's no nothing, then yes, you will see these things become active. And overly desire to eat sweets. Love for eating sweets become active, especially when you will see the 5 degree back and forward of Jupiter. You will see before 5 degrees, suddenly that desire is there. I want to eat a lot of sweets. When it's over, what happens is it's naturally quenched its thirst. Now it realizes something about that habit that just happened. And of course, with Jupiter going over Venus, naturally one's appetite for sexual relationship becomes active. Before Venus, it wants to quench that. Once it's over the degree of Venus, it's now learning why this happened. Why did I became so obsessive of this? So there's always a learning lesson that happens with the post degree of the particular planet. Okay. Um, revival of lost art will happen through you. If you're some artist, you will revive something in an art form. Some things which were lost in your life would be found. See, and I hit that mic. That means that's probably very important. Let's say you lost some jewelry, right? Some gems, jewelry that may actually be recovered and found. Because again, just think about it. Venus's power of Sanjeevani, and Sanjeevani is now getting a um, jiva in it. You will see, like, and especially with people with Venus who are in a spiritual life, they will attain some kind of a siddhi during this time. Could be initiated into some siddhi during this time period. If or when Jupiter goes over Rahu, f- there will be natural interest towards foreign substances, places, and people. Those things become very attractive. And depending upon the house, it will really emphasize on certain type of aspects or things. So if, let's say, Rahu is in the seventh, Jupiter is going over it, you will see. You will only be somehow finding interest towards foreign people, wanting to be with somebody of a complete different culture, ethnic background, like this attraction towards experiencing something new. But you can also become prone to uh, becoming part of some scam or being cheated. Because again, Jupiter is a positive planet. Yes, we get that. But Jupiter is a Jiva Karka. It's giving life to something. It says here, negative, positive, doesn't matter. It's like it's a blindfold. It's giving life. Okay, here, Saturn, I'm giving you life. Here, Ketu, I'm giving you life. So be careful any financial scheme that comes your way. Something, let's say, oh my goodness, this crypto is gonna go to the moon. You better put all your money in because it's gonna go 5,000x percent. Save that money. Be careful. Read everything. Read the details. Because Rahu makes you lose the concept of details, and Jupiter is the details. Because Jupiter writes the law. Law is every sentence needs to make sense when the law is written. One mistake in a word or sentence, the other party can use that as a loophole to win the case. So Jupiter is the details, Rahu is just smokiness. I'm going here, I'm going here. I don't know what's going on. So now Jupiter is giving Jiva to that. So now you're going to be more prone to not seeing the details in your life. And especially with the food habits, substances habits. Careful, especially if you're going through Mercury or Moon Dasha, or especially Moon, Mercury, Mahanantra Dasha. Be careful of the type of friends you make. The schemes, especially with Jupiter, what kind of schemes you get. Now, on the positive end, positive side of this also, those who are trying to, let's say, conceive children through IVF, this is going to be a great time to conceive a child through IVF, surrogacy, or even if you're trying to adopt. This will help. This will be a very helpful point. Over Ketu makes the past karmas alive. One must pay some past life debt during this particular uh, period over Ketu. Your Vasana samskars become active. Your past life principles will become active. Past life habits suddenly become active. So if, let's say, you're 30 years old, you know, you have never done anything, and suddenly at the age of 30, now you start smoking cigars. Why? Because something from the past is coming alive. Like, for example, I started smoking cigars right when my Jupiter was looking at my Ketu, actually, and was going over my Rahu. Cigars were introduced to me. It's probably something from the past, from my previous birth from Iran, because I was in Persia. I'm sure they're very strong with tobacco and hookah and cigars. So that just became active, So that became part of the Vasana samskars. And also with Jupiter going over Ketu, there will be this desire to seek isolation, wanting to visit places where you can find some solitude in your life. Okay. Now, Here's a question from Aisha Irash. Irayash? Does astrology support missing opportunities? What is in destiny? A person will always get that. So let's not go into that depth of destiny and all that, because 20 people will have 20 different opinions. But missed opportunities, you will see how they happen. Whenever, let's say, you're going through a Maha and Antradasha, right? The major and sub period of a planet, job opportunity comes in. Okay. Now look at the fact from the sub period, not the major period, from the sub period, make that sub period the ascendant. If there's any planet in the third, 10th, or 12th house, versus or let's say there are more planets present, third, 10th, and 12th from that sub period planet, you will either not accept that opportunity, or that opportunity is wasted. Comes and goes, you miss it. Versus if you have more planets from the sub period in second, fourth, and 11th house from that sub period, that becomes an opportunity that could be gained. This is a concept of Jaimani, which you can also use in Vimshottri. It's called Argala and Virodha, I believe. I forgot. It's Argala and anti-Argala, you can say. Okay. Then Urjani Abhijura. This may be sounding like a taboo question, but is there an accident provoking time or a time of the day where accident most happens, and can it be avoided? Yes. There are, but again, this is, if I say anything here, especially regarding Hora and Nakshatra, then it just puts the seed in people's mind and they'll be always afraid. Sometimes when you go too deep into astrology on daily lives, it'll drive you nuts. So I don't want to, get into that, but I can always discuss that in like my vlogs and things of that nature. So AJ said, I'm in my Ketu Mahadasha. I've heard negative things about this dasha, that it will take away the things it's related to in the chart. I'm very spiritually inclined person. Mercury dasha, I'm in Ketu in the 9th house, Capricorn, a Lord of Sun in the 12th with Jupiter, Mars. Okay, so here's the thing. The first thing you need to know, no dasha can just guarantee that something will be taken away. And no dasha will promise that something will be given. Always, whenever you're dealing with the north and south node of the moon, which is Rahu and Ketu, okay. I'm getting a important. Oh my God, what the hell? Because I have my glasses and my cap on, so my phone won't recognize me. But again, whenever you look at Ketu, first look at where the dispositor is gone to and the condition of dispositor. Like you said, your Saturn is in the 12th. You're going to deal with foreign journeys. Definite interest in spirituality comes in. Foreign work opportunity comes into play. But also with Rahu and Ketu, always look at it from the moon chart as well. Because they're not the nodes of the sun. They're not nodes of the Saturn. They're not nodes of Jupiter. They're known as the nodes of the moon. So if they're nodes of the moon, their most impactful impact will be seen from your moon chart. Seeing which place, or not even moon chart, from the moon, from the ascendant, where are they placed? And then from the moon, it'll show your mental makeup regarding those particular things. But no, you will see, like with Ketu Jacha, people can find huge promotions. If let's say your Ketu is in the 12th house in Capricorn, Saturn is in the 10th house, especially let's say in Dasamsha, you could be called back from work or retirement to come back and uh, work again to change something. Okay. Um, uh, so that's one of the things. Um, so Jasprit Pal said, like you said in your Pisces video, that any planet feels lost in Pisces. Also, you explained debilitated planet brings wealth. Yes. How does debilitated Mercury gives you good result practically, especially if it's conjunct with a positive planet like Jupiter, Venus? Okay. So here's the thing about Pisces. Yes, they feel lost. But with Mercury, you will see Mercury is a very adaptable planet. Okay. More than even Moon, Mercury is more adaptable. Mercury, if it's with benefic planets, it'll become very benefic, regardless of the house rulership. If it's with malefic, it can be your ascendant lord, it'll give you malefic results sometimes. And if it's with benefic, malefic, it'll just behave depending upon the impact and the degree. But when Mercury is in Pisces, the best way to learn, the best way to attain wealth from it is through your intuition. An abstract imagination, abstract thinking. The more you come out with original ideas, which happens through Pisces Mercury, the better the individual does. This person should not rely on bookish knowledge or book knowledge. They will have to strain themselves to come up with an original idea, to come up with deciphering something original from something which is given, which may not, where most people will think of this one meaning, while this person will come up with something brand new. So that's how their wealth can be made, through that originality, through that original research, through that original intuitive side of them, especially with the benefic. And especially when they're with Venus and Jupiter, the more they write their ideas, the more they keep a book with them and they write their ideas, the more they gain through those particular ideas because they now have been written. And if it's especially, let's say with Venus, Venus is what? Sanjeevani Mantra. It brings anything dead to life. So when they write something writing is not nothing alive. There's no breathing in writing. But when it's with Venus and you're writing, it's gonna become alive. The Sanjeevani. With Jupiter naturally is a Jiva Karka. So with Jupiter, it gives life to that ideas. Meaning you're able to execute them. But with Venus especially, it just automatically it becomes an AI on its own. It starts manifesting when they write their ideas in the book. Okay. Um, guys, I didn't realize I have to actually go. I keep getting text and I have to leave. So anyway, I wanted to make this more of a longer stream, but didn't realize this one thing. Completely forgot. I have to go somewhere. See you guys. Hopefully this answered some things, but I'll come back later. We'll do live either tonight or tomorrow. I'll probably tomorrow. All right. Bye bye.